Hello everyone, I am Yunak and today we are going to see the video of the critical drinker Joker Folie 2. As you know, or you may know, it's on the theater now. Before we continue with the video, please subscribe to my channel, like the video and leave a comment. Also, subscribe to the critical drinker, his videos are great and I strongly recommend it to you. I really liked the first movie. If you haven't seen it, please watch it. It's a really great movie. I strongly believe that everyone could enjoy that movie and perhaps learn something for himself or for the society. But now let's continue with the video.
So, the first Joker movie was one of those rare moments of cinematic serendipity where everything that should have been wrong somehow came together to become absolutely right. A low-budget origin story about a Batman villain that nobody asked for, directed by a guy best known for making comedies that proved the law of diminishing return.
Yeah, if you haven't watched the Hangover trilogy, I strongly recommend you because especially 1 and 2, and I even enjoyed 2, the second part so much more, are just awesome. They're completely ridiculous and you can spend those time giggling and laughing very, very hard. So let's continue with this one.
And shadowed by media accusations of promoting violence, misogyny, and generalized buffoonery. It was a film that seemingly had everything going against it, but somehow turned out way better than it had any right to be. In a sea of oversaturated CGI sludge, the Joker dared to tell a small, intimate, complex story of a man pushed into madness and despair by a society that was blindly indifferent to him. A movie with a wonderfully unreliable narrator, driven by a superb performance by Joaquin Phoenix, and
as I said, his performance was just awesome, or even more than that. I strongly enjoyed it, and yeah, that he's one of the greatest actors of our time for sure. And as I said, the film itself, if the plot isn't for you, just his performance could make you enjoy it. So again, watch the movie.
An ending that left the audience with more questions than answers. It was a perfect one-and-done movie that told its story and told it well. No need to do anything more with a character like that because it would just cheapen the experience. So, like the rest of you, I was a bit perplexed when I found out that Joker was getting a sequel, and even more concerned when it was announced as a musical.
You know that nowadays Hollywood is making everything for money and only that's what they are interested for. That's why every movie nowadays have a sequel, prequel, another prequel, 2 more sequels, and all they can do just to cash grab quick for the movies that people liked and enjoyed the first one time. So yeah, I think it was not surprising that they did it again. The musical part, yeah, it was really strange for me because after all, that's a movie for a psychopathic killer after all. And I have my doubts that they could pull it through. And we shall see if they manage to make it, the musical part work for this movie. I must admit that I actually enjoy musicals. Of course, that depends from the musical and on the team that's made. But I think that musical is could be really cool. But it's really hard to make them cool, I think. So let's see what was the case in the Joker.
Co-starring Lady Gaga. But just like everyone else, I tried to suppress my doubts and ignore that nagging feeling in the pit of my stomach that this movie was fundamentally a bad idea. Surely to goodness Todd Phillips knows what he's doing and wouldn't just shout out some lame cash grab sequel that undermines the integrity of the original, right?
Wrong.
I think that we know for now what it seems like.
Then I sat down and watched it. And if all 2.5 hours of Joker Folie proves anything at all, it's that sometimes you really ought to listen to your instincts. Yeah, there's definitely good elements in there. You can see that talented people were working on this movie, and the ending is definitely going to get people talking. But overall, Joker 2 felt like a dull, bloated, and ultimately unnecessary movie that failed to answer the question that's dogged it since the beginning. Why does this film even exist? Now,
for a quick cash grab, probably. I think the same about the Gladiator 2. Unfortunately, the original Gladiator was one of my favorite movies, but that second part, it looks really like a cash grab.
I know it's just come
But
out
let's
and I
continue
don't
with
want
the
to spoil
Joker.
it for people, so I'm going to keep my plot summary short and sweet, unlike this fucking movie. So with that in mind, let's go. The story picks up shortly after the events of the first film, where Arthur Fleck has been arrested and locked up in Arkham Asylum while he awaits trial for all the murders that he committed. His lawyer wants to plead insanity, while the prosecutor Harvey Dent's pushing for the death penalty. Bad times indeed. But while he's at Arkham, he meets a young woman named Lee Quinn and soon starts a bit of a romance with her. But is it really Arthur that she's into, or is Joker personality? And what's her true motivation for being there? Well, you'll have to wait and find out. Anyway, the case goes to trial and Arthur's soon confronted by the reality of what he did in the first film by going over most of the key events again. But how responsible was he for what happened? Was the Joker really a split personality that took over him, or just part of him all along? And what will Harley Quinn think of him when she finds out the truth? Joker 2 is kind of a frustrating movie to watch because in a lot of ways I can see how hard many of the people involved are trying to make it work. Joaquin Phoenix delivers the same intense, compelling performance as the first movie, arguably a bit too similar, but we'll get into that one in a minute. The point is though, he's definitely given the role his all and some of his scenes are genuinely compelling. Lady Gaga, much to my surprise, also turns in a good performance as a crazy superfan enamored by the flamboyant persona.
At least at that movie, I think the cast is really great. I think Lady Gaga is a really good actor as well as a singer. And as I said, Joaquin Phoenix is of another level. He's like the greatest of our time as an actor. So only for them, I think it's worth watching it.
Persona of the Joker rather than the flesh and blood man behind it. And if you're inclined to look for themes in this film, it's an interesting insight into the intoxicating danger of celebrity and the vast gulf between myth and reality. The two actors play well off each other and the kind of twisted romance they cultivate seems pretty appropriate for a movie like this, and the film even has you questioning which of their interactions even happened for real. It doesn't do it as effectively as the first movie, but it's something at least. The thing is, I'm pretty sure that the comic version of Quinn was more like the Joker's plaything rather than a manipulative femme fatale stringing him along, but again, it probably fits with what we know about this version of Joker. And I guess that brings me along to my criticisms, the biggest of which is the deconstruction of Arthur himself. The ending of the first movie saw him fully embrace his Joker persona, shedding the last remnants of his old, weak, victimized personality and embracing the madness of the world around him. It was a logical endpoint for a man who had been desperately trying to swim against the tide for most of the film, and it was kind of cathartic to see him finally let go. It was a final fuck you to the world that had kicked him to the ground again and again. A world reduced to fire and chaos. All of that good work seems to have been undone here because for most of the film he's reverted to the same weak, timid Arthur that he was at the start of the first movie. And
I believe that that's probably the case because they want to make the audience feel the same way like the first time they watched the movie. So they know that first time everyone enjoyed that cathartic development of the character from the weak man that was victimized, as the critical drinker said, to the badass crazy psychopath that we all know the Joker is. So I think they're trying to do the same thing to the audience, but I think that's never would work because people already know what the development will be after all in the end. So it's just repetitive and yeah, it's boring and frustrating.
I can't shake the feeling that there's something almost mean-spirited in that kind of deconstruction, as if they're taking a swipe at the audience themselves for liking someone they weren't supposed to. I don't know, man, it just feels like character regression instead of development for me. Then there's the musical numbers that pepper the narrative. I can't believe I'm saying this because normally I fucking hate musicals, but I actually kind of enjoyed the sheer spectacle and performances while I was watching them.
Gay! As I said, I like the musicals on the most part, but it depends how they're made. And yeah, if he said that they were made on kind of a good way and he enjoys them, then perhaps they really are made after all. Beyond my doubt. I will watch the film for sure, the movie, and I'm going to make my own review. So we shall see then. I again strongly recommend you to watch the movies and to form your own opinion.
And Lady Gaga clearly doesn't have any trouble belting out her numbers. But the more I think about it, the more I see them as shiny objects trying to distract from what's actually a pretty stodgy, bloated, and uninspiring drama. The courtroom scenes are basically just a dry recap of the first film, telling us things that we mostly already know, and destroying that awesome sense of ambiguity and unreality that made it such a fascinating story to pick apart. Now we know exactly what did and didn't happen, and shit man, it feels like such a waste. And most disappointingly of all, I actually find myself kind of bored and checked out at times, something that absolutely never happened with the original movie. As I said before, the question hanging over Joker 2 was, is this a story that really needed to be told, or is it just a bunch of talented people doing their best to elevate a studio-mandated sequel into something that it isn't? Well, now that I've seen it, I'm afraid I know the answer, and it's not a good one. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Well, unfortunately, that's the reality these days. The studio makes always, as I said, prequels, sequels, and more shit like that, with the only purpose to make money. At least this time, we have a talented cast that is elevating the movie. We shall see it, and we shall form our own opinion. I always recommend people to watch the movies by themselves, because everyone needs to have his own opinion, no matter if he agrees with the critics or not, because that's the best way to form your personality. That will be all for today, guys, and bye. And before we separate, if you watch this far, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave your comment below. Also, don't forget to enjoy your life, because that is a matter of your own choice. Bye, and see you in the next video.